Alright. Welcome back to Case Closed, Anime Review, episode 214. Reviewing episode 1101 for Case Closed. The Pride of an Immortal Man. That is the name of this episode, which is also the 404th case. Episode starts off with the victim of the episode, where he's the president of a company, by the way, where he has assembled a meeting of his board of directors. They don't say it's board of directors, but it is. So we see the VP there. Secretary comes in with him and is like, "Oh, I was attacked again." Really? And he's like, "Nah, we call police? Nah, don't think it's necessary." So I'm gonna tell you what I do, but Mrs. Finch, I'm gonna buy a amusement park, and that does not get brought up the rest of the episode. Later on, we see Conan and Kongoro. Well, Conan picked up Kongoro from a bar because Rand does not want to see him basically left in some alleyway. So, pretty much basically, like, they get there and then they discover that the president of the company, Toshiba, is dead. Where it's also been suspected of murder or even suicide. And of course, who are detectives around this one? Acquire, Keba, and Tagashi. Yep. Basically the same three people we usually see. And by the way, I did look it up. Apparently this is a 404th filler case. Because the 400th one was actually for episode 1095 for the show. So then, of course, we see the secretary, the VP, some other executive, and then we see his aunt show up. Now, here's something interesting about the aunt and the victim. The victim is 40 years old. His aunt is 10 years older than he is. Now, there could have been a plot twist that, oh, yeah, this was his aunt, this actually was his wife, because sometimes guys will marry women who are 10 years older than they are. But nope. Aunt and nephew. They kept that straight the whole episode. Like, okay, interesting. Oh, by the way, was she suspected involved in death? No. Not really. Yeah, she just randomly shows up and like, oh, she's the president's aunt, this older lady who in the flashback calls him auntie. Fine. Some people do that with their aunts. I call my aunt whatever the name is, basically. I just refer to the old-fashioned way. Because that's how I was raised. As a matter of fact, my nephews call me Uncle Nick. So with my nieces. Yep. My nephews also call my sister Aunt Cassie and Uncle Russ. Yep. That's what my nephews do. And they also call the grandparents Grandma and Grandpa. Because that's how we were raised, and that's how my brother and sister raised their kids to basically what they call their relatives. They call them that. Heck, my grandmother is called Gigi, for short. So, moving on from that. There's also a criminal manifesto found in his pocket. Yeah, it's later discovered he's the one who did this himself. So, they investigate the whole episode of, like, they go to his house, which, I gotta admit, he's a guy who got a nice looking house. And they do give a brief history of the company, where it originally was a furniture manufacturer, which expanded and kept building, and then, of course, the name was changed to the Toshiba Furniture to Toshiba Corporation. And he was a bit of a ruthless businessman who was very cocky. It was a little bit cocky, but basically he had fans. He also had fans and employees. He had cold demeanor about himself. He wanted to make sure he looks cool in front of his employees. Like, okay, interesting. So, by the way, his secretary, you think, oh, was his secretary like a secret girlfriend of his? No. She was not even suspected of the murder. At all. Thinking, really? Yes, really. And like, wow, something different for a change. Because normally when they have these type of corporate style stories for police stuff, usually secretary, usually like very young, beautiful woman, and she sometimes might be sleeping with her boss. or maybe the boss is harassing her sexually. That's the point of view of an American style stuff like this. But my guess is that the Japanese probably do not basically think that's a good idea to depict fiction at all, because I'm sure there probably does happen in real life, and they probably do not want to basically do it for humor or whatever purposes that they want to do with it, because that's what happens here. So yeah, and throughout the whole episode, Conan does a little more investigating. Now, it was obvious that it was the... call up supposed to be. Yeah, of course, Congo accused the VP of doing it, and it turns out he did do it. Congo was right on the money, but he had no evidence to back it up. Thanks to Conan. Yep. And it turns out, though, he killed him by pushing him off a roof. Yep. They at first theorized about the whole thing that maybe, like, somebody was trying to kill him, and maybe his attacker. Maybe kill his attacker, but... Oh, it's just something that picked up my rug. Anyways. Yeah, it doesn't really go anywhere at all. Not really. It's just there. And... interesting style episode this one was. And of course, yep, it was revealed that the VP was responsible for it all along. Yep. He killed him, and apparently he did not resist basically... It's almost like basically this was his suicide. That's what it looks like. Apparently he did not resist basically going off the roof. He just really wanted to go off that roof. So yeah, he probably charged with, let's say, first degree murder person. So he probably did want to kill him, but it's more like the way they scenarioed it and the way he explained it. It's assisted suicide. That's most of what it is. But he's aggressive murder. And of course, basically, Conan will talk about it. And they come across another guy that, oh, is he dead? No, he just drunk. And he actually drops him. And of course, he's going to take a turn talking to Conan. And that's the episode. It's an interesting episode. I at least got to admit, it didn't feel like a waste of time like the last time was. Yeah, it did feel like that, which I appreciate that. And there will not be a new episode this weekend. Nope. Weekend off. Yep. So, yeah. That's pretty much it, particular view. Next to a comic corner, it's on to the rising of the shield hero. Okay, next video. Bye.